Part 1. Read all words. Heel, hand, hold, hear, hike, mouth, thumb, thick, think, pet, tree, trust, thin, threat, heart, then, they, there, those, either, but, cloth, with, bread, put, skite, the, together, another, this. Feeders, smoother, that, leader, rather, cloth, Miss Brothers, Crumpets Home, Cambridge, Smith, remember, small, him, smart, team, mum, time, homemade, come. Tommy Chum, mother. Part 2. Read this Twitter tongue with 3 modes: slow, normal, and fast. 1. Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. 2. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a beer, Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair, Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? Fuzzy Wuzzy was a beer, Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair, Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? Fuzzy Wuzzy was a beer, Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair, Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't very fuzzy, was he? 3. She shall by the seashore, and the she shall by the seashore, as she shall for sure. She shall by the seashore, and the she shall by the seashore, as she shall for sure. She shall by the seashore, and the she shall by the seashore, as she shall for sure. 4. A sailor went to see what he could see, and all he could see was sea. A sailor went to see what he could see, and all he could see was sea. A sailor went to see what he could see, and all he could see was sea. 5. 6 sick hicks nicks 6 slick bricks with picks and sticks. 6 sick hicks nicks 6 slick bricks with picks and sticks. 6 sick hicks nicks 6 slick brick with picks and sticks. 6. How many snacks could a snack stacker stack if a snack stacker stack snacks? How many snacks could a snack stacker stack if a snack stacker stack snacks? How many snacks could a snack stacker stack if a snack stacker stack snacks? 7. 12 twin trailer 12 twigs. 12 twin trailer 12 twigs. 12 twin trailer 12 twigs. 8. Imagine an imaginary manager managing an imaginary managery. Imagine a imaginary manager managing imaginary managery. Imagine a imaginary manager managing an imaginary managery. 9. Lesser leader never waited whether we do better. Lesser leader never waited whether we do better. Lesser leader never waited whether we do better. 10. A twiddle, battle, noodle, poodle, battle, paddle, muddle, daddle, paddle, waddle, fox, and soxer. A twiddle, battle, noodle, poodle, battle, paddle, muddle, daddle, paddle, waddle, fox, and soxer. A twiddle, battle, noodle, paddle, battle, paddle, muddle, daddle, paddle, waddle, fox, and soxer. 11. How much ground would a groundhog hog if a groundhog could hog ground? A groundhog would hog all the ground he could hog if a groundhog could hog ground. How much ground would a groundhog hog if a groundhog could hog ground? A groundhog would hog all the ground he could hog if a groundhog could hog ground. How much ground would a groundhog hog if a groundhog could hog ground? Groundhog would hog all the ground he could hog if a groundhog could hog ground. 12. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. A pack of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers, where's the pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. A pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers, where's the pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. A pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers, where's the pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? 13. Betty Butter bought some butter, but she said the butter sweeter. If I put it in my butter, it will make my butter bitter, but a bit of better butter will make my butter better, so it was better Betty Butter bought a bit of better butter. Betty Butter bought some butter, but she said the butter is bitter. If I put it in my butter, it will make my butter bitter, but a bit of better butter will make my butter better, so it was better Betty Butter bought a bit of better butter. Betty Butter bought some butter, but she said the butter is bitter. If I put it in my butter, it will make my butter bitter, but a bit of better butter will make my butter better, so it was better Betty Butter bought a bit of better butter. 14. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would as much as he could, and chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would as much as he could, and chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would as much as he could, and chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. 15. I thought a thought, but the thought I thought wasn't the thought I thought. If the thought I thought had been the thought I wouldn't have thought I thought. I thought a thought, but the thought I thought wasn't the thought I thought. If the thought I thought had been the thought I wouldn't have thought I thought. I thought a thought, but the thought I thought wasn't the thought I thought. If the thought I thought had been the thought I wouldn't have thought I thought. Part 3. Read our story clearly. A long time ago there lived a wealthy and influential king in a faraway kingdom. He had a very beautiful daughter of marriageable age named Avion. All the young men in the country wanted to marry her, but she refused all offers of marriage. Most of the rich old men asked for her hand in marriage, but she called them old and ugly. Avion was very proud and vain. In spite of repeated entreaties from her parents, she refused to marry any man from her land. She vowed to marry a rich prince from a faraway kingdom. Her prince would be the best-looking man in the entire world. He would be strong and perfect in every way, and capable of loving her properly. So Avion the princess continued to disobey her parents, and which they were very much grieved. One day there was commotion within the village. What could be happening? People inquired. Not long after, the news got to the place. A very fine man had been seen in the market, who was better looking than any of the natives. Avion rushed to the market at once, and directly she saw the most handsome man she had ever set her eyes on. She fell in love immediately, and invited him to her house. The prince was delighted and went home with her. On his arrival, the handsome prince was introduced by Avion to her parents. The prince immediately asked their consent to marry their daughter. At first they refused, as they did not wish her to marry a stranger, but at last they agreed. He lived with Avion for 2 days in her parents' house, and then said he wished to take his wife back to his country, which was far off. To this the princess readily agreed, as he was such a fine man, but her parents tried to persuade her not to go. However, being very headstrong, she made up her mind to go, and they started off together. It was a sad day for the king and the queen. After walking for several days, Avion and her husband crossed the border between the spirit land and the human land. Immediately they set foot in the spirit land, strange things began to happen. First of all, one man came to the prince and demanded his legs, then another his head, and the next his body, and so on, until a few minutes the prince was left with nothing but a skull. The princess became terrified. She could not understand what had happened to her handsome prince. The prince then laughed at the princess and confessed that the princess was now seeing him in his natural state. He had borrowed all his body parts from the other spirits so he would look human when he went to ask for her hand in marriage. In fact, his entire body consisted of only a human skull. The princess wanted to return home, but the skull would not allow this, and ordered her to go with him. When they arrived at the skull's house, they found his mother, who was a very old woman quite incapable of doing any work she could any creep about. Afion tried her best to help her, and cooked her food, and brought water and firewood for the old woman. The old creature was very grateful for this attention, and soon became quiet and fond of Afion. One day the old woman felt very sorry for Afion, and decided to help her. She promised to send her back to her country as soon as possible, providing that she promised that in the future she would obey her parents. This Afyong readily consented to do. Then the old woman sent for the spider, who was a very clever hairdresser, and made him dress Afyong's hair in the last fashion. She also presented her with anklets and other things an account of her kindness. She then used her supernatural power to call the breeze to gently carry Avion to her father's kingdom. Soon afterwards, the breeze deposited Avion outside her home and left her there. When the king and the queen saw their daughter, they were very glad, as they had for some months given her up as lost. There was feasting and dancing throughout the kingdom for 8 days and nights. Afterwards, the king passed a law that parents should never allow their daughter to marry strangers who come from a far country. Then the prince from a neighboring village came to ask for Afyong's hand in marriage, and she willingly consented and lived with him for many years and had many children.